Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, we've got a Balanced Druid PvP guide number 2. This is a very highly requested video. This is the situation that everybody is telling me that they don't know what to do. They just can't make it work. Everyone in my comments is flaming me because I uploaded a video where I wasn't attacked, as if I'm never attacked. And here and today, we're going to be covering it right here. We got it straight raw from the solo queue ladder. A Demon Hunter and a Death Knight paired together, chasing me down, trying to destroy me the entire match, and we're going to be running through what exactly you need to do to make it stop. So the main goal with the Balanced Druid is to make it impossible to hit you. It's not to attack. You want to make it as annoying as possible so they stop attacking you. And then at the point where they stop attacking you, that's when you start to attack back. So think of it that way. You want to just be as avoidant as possible, always moving, highly mobile. That is going to be the main strategy. Now, of course, you can start from stealth. This is important because you can't be attacked in stealth. So you want to be sneaking to the enemy healer as soon as possible to use your instant crowd control before you start getting attacked, to start putting yourself ahead. So here we've got Solar Beam onto the Restoration Shaman. We're in a position where we could possibly bash as well. We're focusing on getting dots up. I was a little disappointed that we didn't go for a stun, but I realized after the fact we're playing with a Frost Death Knight who wants to grip for a triple blind. We're going to use our Stampeding Roar immediately, sprint away from the Death Knight. We get triple blind, going to reposition even further away out into the outside corner, not dragging them on top of my healer, pulling them out into the open so that the enemy healer then has to move into the open as well, making them easier to attack, making them easier to crowd control. And look, we've got them all stacked up in the middle, forcing the enemy team to use darkness. And I'm basically going to pull into the corner and attack whoever comes close to me, activate Thorns, and dump out as much damage as possible to say, get off me, get away from me. I see the hunt incoming. We're going to use Renewal. We already have Barkskin rolling, and we're just dumping instant Lunar Strikes, holding them in a corner, using our Auto Frenzy. We get gripped by our ally. And as we get gripped, we're going to wild charge. We're going to reposition now behind the pillar so that the enemies have to line of sight their healer in the middle of the map. But at the same time, I don't really want to bring them on top of the healer. You can see, look, now the Demon Hunter gets a stun. So this is why life grip can get a little bit dicey, why you don't really want to play close to your healer. You'd rather them be far away. Free casting, we're going to drop a bash here onto the Death Knight, reposition a little bit, utilize our Typhoon, knock the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter a bit a ways, and use our second Mass Entanglement on the damage dealers. It's important you're using Mass Entanglement on cooldown. First one, Solar Beam the healer. Second one, on cooldown or as close as possible onto the DPS to prevent them from getting to you and chasing you. Now, of course, while you're running away, you need to be aware when they're switching their damage back. Come back and assist and cyclone enemy attackers off of your teammates, because that is going to be a response if you're doing a good job of making yourself untouchable. Here I'm using Wild Mushroom to snare the Death Knight, to hold them back from me so I can cast a couple of spells. And I am choosing to kind of bunker down and cast when it's only one player attacking me, going into my Eclipse and then trying to get the Death Knight off of me with as much damage as possible. This gets the Icebound Fortitude, to which now we are going to Cyclone. I'm not going to be able to kill through that defensive cooldown, so I'd rather stop the Death Knight from attacking me. It's easier to do it now while they don't have an interrupt that I'm tracking on Omnibar. And we're just going to keep moving around the map while our allies keep the melee DPS snared with Chains of Ice. With any other class you're playing with, you can ask them to snare them. We get a Chastise Fear onto the Shaman. Due to our kiting, we pulled them into a good position to get crowd control. Then we can continue to dump damage into the Death Knight in this position, getting them down to half health again. We're going to activate Thorns when both enemies connect. This is going to either amplify our pressure to kill them or get them to stop attacking us. Here we make a big mistake of Solar Beaming into Aura Mastery. This is not something you want to do. You should be aware of what the classes have to prevent your Solar Beam, but we proc a full moon right at this moment in time and just do so much damage that it's like almost unrecoverable at that moment. And that's really where your win condition is when that full moon procs. I decided to Cyclone the Death Knight at low health because it's feeling like they're not going to die. Our Death Knight's in an in-cap, not able to attack, so I'm just trying to prevent any immediate recovery, use Cyclones and prevent them from continuing to attack me. Now I've got the Demon Hunter Cyclone, we've silenced the Shaman, so I'm trying to cast to get into Eclipse. Really important, especially as we get our 4-piece bonus that you're in Eclipse before you burst, is increase your damage of your next Star Surge and make it free, so you'll be able to get like 3 of them out really quickly, maybe even more with the Astral Communion buffs later on if you bank a lot of Astral Power. This sets us up to get Spirit Link Totem, which is kind of the final defensive, but you can see that I'm still staying far away. I'm not going in there. I'm not trying to get clones. I'm not trying to get fancy. I'm trying to be as far away as I can. I get gripped into a stun, but we stun the Shaman. My Priest grips me away from that. So your healer using their mobility tools to counter the enemy mobility tools of your opponents. Could be a rescue from an evoker or something like that to pull you away is going to be important. Using wild charge on cooldown as much as possible when they both connect, and then using thorns when they do ultimately both get to hit you. You can see that I'm not spending a tremendous amount of time in bear because all I'm doing is running away and trying to stay at a good distance. Warlocks can use Curse of Exhaustion to help you run. You can use the wild mushrooms as well to snare, although I do like saving wild mushroom, at least one of them, to burst. This way I'm getting 3 dots on the target. You can also use thrash when you're getting trained instead, so you can use wild mushroom to snare and then use thrash as the 3rd dot tick. You can see here I've got 2 dots up. If I used wild mushroom here, it would increase my damage on these star surges in the Death Knight. Is something that I should have done. Here we're kind of getting stacked up, so we're going to activate thorns. We're getting attacked by all 3 members of the team. We're going to go into bear form, try and deter their attacks with thorns, and move towards safety. We get anti-magic zone, but I don't think that I noticed it was my allies at that time. I move back into it. We've got root solar beam, so we're trying to wait to get rid of the grounding totem. We can also just lock the healer on cast. It's not always necessary, and then boom, pop the incarnation immediately after interrupting the healer, putting them really far behind. We already got Spirit Link earlier. We can root all of the attackers move away in that full moon proc. That's kind of the cue that we need to start dumping some damage. We're going to try and knock them back, dump out more star surges. We're going to go for a bash onto the Death Knight, try and stop them from recovering as much as possible, and also stop damage. Now, at this point, when you're at 49% dampening in the game, it does become a little more beneficial to CC DPS, especially the ones that don't have Trinket, because damage is more valuable than healing. At this point, it doesn't even matter if you're casting healing. You're not going to be able to heal it. So you want to reduce damage with your crowd control and your bashes at this point. And we're just avoiding the Death Knight while charging away, getting our distance again, and lobby out damage until we can inevitably take down the target. So you can see the name of the game is Keep Away. They got cooties, these Death Knights and Demon Hunters. We don't want them touching us. They smell bad. They didn't shower. We're just trying to keep them as far away as possible. So let's just try and find another clip. This one, they train the healer, so it's a little bit different. Try and find one where they're going to be attacking us again. So we got Frost Death Knight, Demon Hunter in this one, which is the same kind of deal, same type of situation. We're going to want to stay as far away as possible. We can sneak up to our enemies in stealth, and we wild charge forward. We end up getting in-capped out of stealth. This could be dangerous, but they're actually committing a lot of damage to the Death Knight. My goal here is that Demon Hunters can reverse magic, so I want to stun the Demon Hunter before I solar beam the healer. This is kind of a bait in some sense to try and get somebody to trinket reverse, or trinket dispel to try and bait them. They don't fall for the bait here. There wasn't enough obvious damage to make that bait in that situation. Also important to note when the healer is able to dispel their own solar beams with something like Gnome Racial. And you can see it, playing aggressive and staying in their face here is probably not going to be a good idea. When all enemies are attacking me, I'm in bear form with thorns, frenzied regenning, and using renewal, and I'm not really focused on trying to kill my opponents until I get distance. Now it's just the Death Knight. The Demon Hunter is far away, so I'm focusing more on doing damage, lobbying up my wild mushroom, setting up for my triple dot burst onto the Death Knights, and we can see the hunt is incoming. Really good idea to try and either Shadow Meld immune this or use your renewal for a big heal. So I like using the renewal. It lines up really effectively with that cooldown the hunt and provides us immediate recovery so your healer isn't panicking. And here we're in anti-magic zone, but the enemies are also in darkness, so darkness is way more valuable than any magic zone. I want to reposition and either force them to leave their defensive and be more vulnerable, or they won't chase me and I won't get attacked. And right now I can root both of them. Again, mass entanglement on cooldown, a really important component against these double melee. And then I'm going to lob out that incarnation. We got a lot of their defensive darkness out of the way. I want to start pumping out some damage. I've got some distance, so I'm shooting all my star surges. I am playing the star surge build now a lot more often than the starfall one, especially in lobbies like this where every class can heal itself. Starfall is really not going to be doing very much relevant damage. It isn't that the starfall build doesn't have a place, it's just this particular matchup is not one where you're going to want it. You want enough damage that you're threatening lethal pressure onto your opponents as they're chasing around the map, continuing to pull them out in the open. I had a choice here. I could have gone left or right. I honestly think left would have been better than where I am right now. Get them away from the priest, because any CC on the priest, a grip, an incap, a stun can just, you're done. It's over. So right here, priest gets incapped. Demon Hunter doesn't have to go anywhere to reconnect to me, and this is very dangerous. You can see. So they're both on top of me. Bear form, frenzied regen. Going to be using thorns. Get my thrash up during this time for the triple dot. So you're always monitoring it. As soon as you got wild charge or a root or a bash or someone gets stunned or snared and you're able to make your escape, you then make your escape and you want to line up your burst with that full moon proc. So getting our dots back up, getting that thrash earlier is going to be important. I move towards the shaman to solar beam out of the fear, but we're still getting low. So life swap comes out from the priest. It can be really dangerous trying to get offensive when both melee attackers are connecting, but we're getting so close to the kill now. Death Knight's at half health, Demon Hunter's at half health. So really trying to focus in here for ending the game. And this is scaring the Death Knight away from me. We grip in, we get a double blind. Death Knight's still afraid. Anti-magic zone gets forced here, or anti-magic shell. So we're just cutting through defensives. We get blur from the Demon Hunter. I'm going to keep repositioning away, use my wild mushroom to snare. I don't see a chains of ice. Dump out these instant lunar strikes to get eclipse. If I had my 4-piece, this next Star Surge would be really juicy right now. I'll probably take out the Death Knight as soon as I connect it. We get gripped into a blind, but now our priest, look at our priest, so far away here in the back, able to freely heal us with Guardian Spirit. This is a way better position. I can knock them all, knock the heal, get some distance and start pulling away from my healer. Just got to be careful not to go too far, because if you completely max range them on a cast, it could be bad. But life gripping me, then I need to make sure that I reposition away. We got mass entanglement available, so again, want to be using that on cooldown. Do I use it as my own advice? I do. We get a root on everything, and once everything's in control, everything's in the middle of the map, we can start casting some spells, get towards our eclipse, get towards setting up our next burst. We get a chastise on the shaman, so we've got CC on the healer. This is a great time to burst. Demon Hunter has no blur, so I would like to target the Demon Hunter. We can use Astral Communion. This is another thing, is to use Astral Communion and Fury of Elune on cooldown as well. You want them up for your Incarn, and you want to use them on cooldown so they're up again for your next Incarn in 2 minutes running the Orbital Strike. The Demon Hunter gets gripped off of me. Hunt is coming, so this is where I like to use Renewal or Shadow Meld. Perfectly timed. I've got everything lined up where I want it, but now they're stacked up on me, so we got to be a bit careful. Frenzy Regen's proc, and we need to get into bear form. See, I've responded a little bit late here, almost died. As soon as both people are attacking you, it's got to be Thorns, it's got to be Frenzied Regen, it's got to be Pull Away, Typhoon, Wild Charge, get them off of you. If they're touching you at all, you're going to be dead. There's no touchy. No touchy. You don't want people hitting you. So here I'm repositioning. I solar beam the shaman on Stormkeeper, trying to just panic, stop him from lightning bolting me and killing me. We're going to Shadow Meld and Bear Form just to drop their targets so they can't finish me. Re-stealth for a global, try and reposition and get away and just get some distance. Now I'm trying to snipe the Spirit Link. We root up the Death Knight. He can't get into it. And look how scary that was right there. Like almost dying, having to use all the tools in my kit. And that was just one mistake of getting touched for 1 second too long. We get gripped in. We Wild Mushroom. We bash up the Death Knight again when dampening's at 50%. I really like putting my bashes, my crowd control into the DPS, because slowing down damage is way more valuable when healing is 50% reduced than it is to CC the healer and stop them from healing. We get a full moon proc. This is the moment of opportunity, but we're being attacked by 2 players. We get stunned. We're going to trinket. We're in bear form. We're getting our thrash stacks up. And my goal is to either just tank them in bear form or frenzy regen, wait for wild charge and wait for typhoon to jump away, knock them off of me. Hopefully my dot pressure and the star surges that I can lob out while I'm moving, lob out that incarnation, massive damage. Shaman's dying in the back. Demon Hunter goes down, and we managed to pull off a narrow victory. And this is playing with a Holy Priest. Right, and Holy Priest not exactly like the most phenomenal healer. It's a lot better since the most recent patch for sure, but not like the most spectacular healer ever. We're still making it work, but this is the name of the goal, name of the game. Get distance, knock people back, wild charge away on cooldown, bash DPS towards dampening, and even before dampening, your focus is to kill one of them. You know, make it like, if you're gonna hit me, this is gonna cost you to hit me. You're not gonna get to hit me for free in this game. And force them away. Really like using Nature's Vigil on cooldown. Didn't really talk about it. And Heart of the Wild is super good in the opener because it can give you 2 charges of Frenzied Regen, just leaving that as kind of a caveat. At the start of a game in solo queue is usually the highest amount of damage, so Heart of the Wild, Nature's Vigil going to give you a lot of healing and support to survive through that initial attack. But yeah, I wanted to give this to you guys to show you what you can do with the balance here. It's going to be a lot harder than a lot of other classes, but if you're here watching a Boomkin video, it's because you want a challenge. You're not backing down from a real fight. Okay, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.